Tech Talk, in affiliation with Tech for Text. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live Thursdays at 8 p.m. London time, and we will be streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can listen to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and others. And now, let's talk Tech Talk.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Tech for Text Tech Talk. This is a live show, and I've got a QR code in my face. So let me just turn that off. So there we go. Right. First of all, let's hope you can all hear and see us. The intro seemed a little bit out of sync with the video to me, the audio and the video, but hopefully you can hear us now. Let us know if not. Obviously, some comments would actually be good, so we know we're, well, as usual, not talking to ourselves. This show, we're going to be talking about, what is it? Tools, hardware? That was the one. Yeah. And do you want to introduce yourself, Jen? Let everyone know who you are.
Well, as if you didn't know by now, my name is Jenny. I'm the boss around here.
That's good. Facebook users, let's get you covered first. If you want to click that link I've put in the chat, which says chat.restream.io/FB, you'll come up on the screen as your proper name rather than Facebook user. If it doesn't work for whatever reason, just afterwards put something like a hyphen or something like that, as well as your name, so we know who's actually talking, so and who we're responding to. So again, if you let us know. So everyone seems to be saying sounds good. Can we have the link, please? I'll put it in there, but I'll put it on the scrolling thing at the bottom of the screen as well. So hopefully that will allow you to get there. So if it's actually going to let me do it. Here we go. So it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen at the moment, so you'll see it there. So if you haven't had the link pop up in your chat, you can write it in. But again, it's just chat.restream.io/FB. Right, we've got two guests on the show tonight, so I'll let them introduce themselves. So first of all, let's go to William. So William, if you want to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, and if you've got any tips, advice, story for us today.
Yeah, I'm William. I'm from Build IT here in the sunny Isle of Man today. My little tip is just quite a little interesting one. It's a little NVMe pen drive here, which you can pick up for well-known local retailers. It's got a Type A and a Type C. But what we found with these is they can sustain 750 megabytes a second read and write, which is really handy when you're out in the field and need to do data transfers or a backup from a client's PC. And because they're toolless, you can hot swap the NVMEs just by popping the little rubber grommet at the back, which means you can swap out for a client's NVMe drive when you're on site. Test it in this enclosure, pop it back in. Super handy, super deployable in the field, and they're pounds to pick up on online retailers. So go grab yourself one of them. They'll certainly help you out when you're out in the field.
Yep, definitely a good tip for the day, and it goes with the topic as well. I must admit that was on my notes, is to say an external enclosure you can use, put your own SSD in, or obviously a customer's if needs be with the USB. And I think Casa do a few, but I think there's a few other brands out there as well which do them as well. So
yeah, it's just most of them, obviously, we're used to the traditional ones that use a cable, and often you lose the damn cable, you get to site and you haven't got the cable. With this, it's just a capped enclosure, and there's a Type C and a Type A on either end. So you never need to worry about losing your cable.
That's super handy because not everyone has the convenience of a Type C, even though it's the faster connection. 9 times out of 10, they're going to have the old reliable USB style. So that's good.
Nice one. Regarding chat, you're saying that link for restream.io, it should be /FB on the end. If that isn't working, Dan, if you can send me a screenshot on Facebook, Skype, or whatever, if it comes up with an error or something like that, and that way I can pass it on to the developers of the actual software we use, and so we can make sure they get it fixed for the next show. And that goes for anyone else as well. If you want to send me a picture, if it comes up with anything weird or any messages or anything like that. Right, okay, let's move on to Ben then. So Ben, have you got any news, advice, stories, and obviously introduce yourself as well. Let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, good evening, Phil. I'm Ben. I'm from Bugs and Bytes Computing in Lincoln. Do sort of desktops, PCs, laptops, and trade sales as well for laptops. So my tip of the day is it's something you've chatted about quite a lot, felt it's about increasing your prices. So I moved into office premises. Now I have to pay extra rent on that, which is lovely. It's a lot more space, as well, much needed. Trade prices remain the same, but I've put end user prices up by approximately £30 a machine, and I've not yet had a single complaint. I've very rarely, if ever, got complaints about my prices before, so I figured it's time to put them up. But the other reason I've done that is a lot of the time I only now sell Windows 11 machines or Windows 11 compatible machines, which is basically 8th gen and upwards. A lot of the time you'll get a customer saying, "Oh, can I have a few quid back from my old laptop?" It's like, sorry, 4th, 5th gen, whatever. It's not worth anything to me particularly. Any machines that are Windows 11 compatible, I'll sell out at £99. And so the customer wants to feel like getting value for money. So if I put my price up by £30 per unit, and I say, I'll give you £30 per trade-in, I'm effectively still getting the unit for free because they're paying what the old price was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I then put an SSD in the old unit, wipe the data off the old unit, and resell it for £99. So,
well, there you go. That's pretty good going. And guys, if you or have not been to Techmax before, or you want to come to this Techmax, Ben will be there with Bugs and Bytes Computing. Obviously, it's his business, and obviously he'll be showing off his wares. And I have a feeling he's going to be having a few toys to play with as well. Some really old ones, if I'm right.
Commodore Amigas, perhaps.
Or maybe.
This is Captain Retro, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he's always the first one on a retro show when we do a retro show, that's for sure.
We need to say hello to some people.
Yep.
There's John Merritt in the chat and also Miss Allison Cook. Hello there. How are you guys tonight?
Good to see you guys. If you, as well, if you have any tech tools you use in your business, which we're going to be talking about in a few minutes, obviously feel free to mention what they are, tell us about what they are, send some links. Absolutely fine to do. Also, it seems like the Restream chat is not always showing everyone's name. So when you comment, if your name's not showing, please say what your name is afterwards, because otherwise we're just going to say, hey, Facebook user. So there we go. So Peter at Scan Station. So there we go. So Amiga's tempting. So there you go, Peter. You got a reason to come now. You can go and play with Ben's Amigas. There we go.
Did not sound good.
You said it, not me. There we go. So
anywho,
yeah, we won't mention anything else because I'll get in real big trouble then. So right, if you want to introduce yourself, Jim,
Techmax and everything, and get this show off to a better level. Anyway, if you want to exhibit at Techmax, you need to get in touch with me. It's info@techfortex.co.uk. And when Phil quits messing about, he's going to put that up there for you on the screen. Or if you want to attend as a guest, it is www.tftmax.co.uk and hit the purple box in the upper right-hand corner for your tickets. Also, let's shout out to Case King, our main sponsor, Aerocool, the lunch sponsor, and Strong for the Tech Awards. We have special appearances coming from Kit Guru, PCR, as in the PCR Awards, and Gadget Joe. News today. It's official. I have signed the contract and paid for our casino. So we're going to have the casino and everything with some nice, maybe a roulette table, and I've asked for a blackjack table. So that's the two things I asked for today. And he seems to be a really nice guy to work with. So we're going to have a couple of fun gambling tables. And then that way, if you don't want to network after the show, you just want to party, you head off and everything, you go over to the casino. If you want to network, well, then we're not going to be so loud and everything that you can't network. So I sussed that out. Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's the latest from Techmax.
Yeah, we also went to see the venue, didn't we, last
Yes,
week
we
on
did.
Friday, which was Friday, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. So we went to see the venue on the Friday, and we did something specifically for Ben. We made sure that spirits were on the free bar in the evening. Okay, so just just for Ben. Obviously, we've also asked to make sure there are more other drinks as well, like Guinness. That'll make Dan happy, who's
That
in the
makes
chat.
me happy.
And a few other drinks as well. We're hoping to make sure that they actually stay in stock this year. So I think it was just a few people who are drinking them all. So, and J2O.
I have asked about it, but I can't be for sure because they normally don't have the J2O, I was told. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
But whatever they have, I've tried to get her to assure me that they'll have plenty of it.
Okay. So that's good then.
Also, that day we went up to Target, and I would just like to say again to Sean at Target, thank you for the lemon drizzle cake. It was divine.
Yes, we popped in Target, didn't we, for a couple of hours after we went to see Magna. Probably held up a few people's orders as well, apparently, because we were in a meeting with them and no one could place any orders, and probably a few people complaining at the same time, which is the usual case, but there we go. So, otherwise, before we finish with the news, if you haven't already, we've also got the Tech Awards coming up. It's nominations time, so make sure you nominate either yourselves or other people. Nominations will end on the 22nd of February. You can nominate yourself, as I said. You can nominate someone else, your friend, your dog, whatever, as long as obviously it fits into that category.
That's
obviously,
right.
If your dog doesn't fit into that category, as in they're not a vendor rep, then obviously we'll exclude that one. But obviously, you never know. It could fit, I suppose.
I was about to say that you could also use the Canny Clever dogs as vendor reps for Canny Clever. He takes them on site with him too.
So there's quite a few awards. We've got 21. I'll put the link on the screen as well now. I'll get rid of that one at the bottom. There we go. So you can actually see it. So there's quite a few different awards. You've got vendors awards. You've also got awards for techs as well, and distributors. So if you want a specific distributor to be the best distributor, you can name them. If you've got a rep you use or an account manager, you can nominate them. If you think, let's say, well, Ben's here, so we'll say Ben. If you think Ben's got the best refurbished tech, you can nominate him.
Yep.
If you think, obviously, William's got the best looking, I don't know, store, car, whatever. Van, that's
the man with a van.
There we go, Van. So you can nominate him. Again, you only need to be nominated once to get through to the next round. So it's pointless asking every single customer you got to nominate you, like a few people have, because we've had some people nominated must be at least 100 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you need only one nomination to get through to the voting, and that counts where you can get multiple people to vote for you. Again, we'll exclude anything which looks a little bit strange or doesn't fill things in properly and so forth. So there are usually a few unique ones. Last year, I remember we had pictures of people's feet where they're probably trying to take a picture of something, uploaded the wrong picture, or they just thought that their feet looked like a car. You never know. I won't be surprised with some of the viewers what we've got. But there we go.
Right along.
Get in trouble. But yeah, so there you go. So there's the nominations. As you can see, best shop front. You've got best repair area. So if you work even from home, or you've got a shed or a workshop or a shop, you can put yourself down for that. Internal displays, and that's it. The email address is there just to obviously stop basically loads of spam entries coming through and so forth. So there we go. Right, let's get on to the main topic, and enough about that for now. So yeah, it looks like everything seems to be working. It's just everyone's called Facebook user tonight, which is a bit of a pain. Again, guys, just put your name when you comment. That way we know who we're talking to. Otherwise, conversations are going to get very mixed up very quickly. Right, let's start off with the tools. Let's start off with the guys first. So William, start us off. What's your tech tool, or your first one that you use a lot, obviously, other than what you've already mentioned?
So it may be an obvious one to some, but obviously when you're short of space, the monitor that we use in our workshop just over my shoulder here actually has an inbuilt KVM switch. So for those maybe don't know what a KVM is, it allows you to use a single keyboard and mouse and control multiple systems. So we have our test bench on this side, we have our customer's PC on this side, and we can control both from the same monitor, keyboard and mouse, which is super handy when you're doing diagnostic work and maybe you're also building another system at the same time. You can have one doing updates, work on your test bench on the diagnostic side, all from the one setup. Now, this used to be a feature of exclusive high-end monitors 5-6 years ago, but more and more monitors these days are coming onto the marketplace. They have them built in. So if you're running an old LCD or an old monitor that's maybe a few years old and you're thinking about replacing it, I'd certainly advise you to get one with an inbuilt KVM, particularly if you're short of space on your workbench or your diagnostic area, and it's just going to make your life so much easier.
Yeah,
All right,
amazing tip there, I must admit. One thing I want to comment, though, is I want to know who all these pictures are behind you. I can make out Master
I
Chief,
see Boba
So you
Fett.
got the Mandalorian,
Mandalorian,
obviously, guy from Assassin's
Witcher,
Creed. You've got Master
Assassin's Creed.
Chief, Witcher,
Yeah.
Henry Cavill, and then that's Arcane. So that's League of Legends.
Right, okay. I got 3 of them, so I didn't do too bad, but yeah, I didn't
I
get the
was
League of
guessing
Legends one.
Harley Quinn with the
So
pink and the
they're
blue.
they're actually hand drawn, and I picked those up at Insomnia from a gentleman called Shrike.
Oh.
There we go. Pretty good. There we go. And we'll go to the guy who's got a completely blank background behind him. We've got
I do have a
Ben.
globe there. World map.
Hopefully, the conversation's not going to be as blank, but there we go. So, Ben, give us a tech tool, as in hardware, what you use. Again, guys, in the chat, if you've got any tools that you use, if it's a favorite screwdriver, it's a favorite USB pen, it's something special, it's wonderful, a piece of hardware, just obviously comment, let us know what it is, and we'll talk about it. So, Go ahead, Ben.
It's really obvious, but it's absolutely brilliant as well. It's iFixit Toolkit. It's been mentioned a few times. It's absolutely bloody fantastic. Thank you, William. Yeah, you can't get enough of them. Mine's actually slightly different to that, but no, there you go. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. The amount of people I've seen who are still using sort of cheap screwdrivers or whatnot, for the amount of cost, it's really not that much, and it's a great investment. And I think, someone might correct me if I'm wrong, I think iFixit do a lifetime warranty on all the equipment as well.
They do
So
indeed.
if you break it, is it correct? If you break it, you just email them and they'll send you a new bit out.
Yep, they sent me 3 new bits. Yep.
Oh, brilliant! I've not broken. I think I maybe broken one of them, but I've actually lost one, so I don't know if that'll work for getting a new one for the lost one, right enough. But it's no, it's really, really good. I think I paid about £45 for my set. I got one through a Tech for Tech's member, and then I bought another set for Steve, who comes in and helps as well. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant bit of kit. We've got pretty much everything you need for working on all your MacBooks, iMacs, that sort of thing as well.
That sounds pretty good. Does anyone else in the chat use the iFixit tools, or have you got any other ones that you use? I'm going to say the idea of the obviously that sort of lifetime warranty type thing is pretty good, to be honest with you. That sounds pretty good. I use my most popular screwdriver, and I go for it everywhere. It's actually the I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me put it on the screen. It's one of the Linus Tech Tips riveting ones, so it's pretty good, to be honest. You can do everything you want. Jen doesn't like it because her hands are a bit too small.
My hand is way too small for it. If you see, I've got a small hand, and this to me is just it's too bulky for my hand. But now for his, who's got huge hands, it's terrific. So it's either a love or hate with this one.
Yeah, I must admit, with all the screwdrivers I've got, I always go for this one. I know they're not cheap; they're about $70, so probably get it shipped over. It probably still works out probably about £70. But it's fully magnetic ends on it. It picks everything up. It sticks to everything. You'll never lose a screw. There's only one thing what I found that it doesn't fit, and that's usually on the motherboards. Which have got the built-in heat sinks over the M.2 drives. There's usually a holes, and it's just too thick for it to actually fit in the hole unless you get an extended bit on the end. But I must admit, I do like it. I've had this now, must be a year now. So it was just after they brought them out, I think it was. And yeah, absolutely love it. I've used other riveting ones before. Again, they were all right, but this one, I don't know, just has something to it. And if I broke this or lost this, I'd definitely go out and buy another one. That's for sure.
Well, my go-to, usually I'm using tech tools that are like laptop style needs. So the first thing I go for is this, and this is a Draper tool set. It's got screwdrivers that will fit most laptops and everything. So yeah, this one's Phil's. I can tell because he's got the tips of them are bent slightly, and I would never let that happen to mine. So he's picked up his to show off tonight. So
And reason why Jen's probably picking those over the iFixit ones, and the reason is because we'd always lose them, go to customer's house, put one down, and the last thing you want to do is obviously you're on site or something is end up losing half of your expensive tools. Where those, I think they're only like £10 a box.
but you
or
know
something,
they are
weren't
great. They're magnetic tips and
Yeah,
everything.
they did everything we wanted.
And I don't know. I really liked them. They also I'll take one out, and if you've probably seen a Draper tool, though. I mean, come on. They have a nice edge here that you can grip onto and everything. And you would think that these were brand new out of the box, but they are not. These are ages old, and they have not worn around here. And this is the one that we probably use the most.
I think we bought them when we opened the store. We bought like one pack, and then we bought a few more. So
I had my
we're looking
own
10 years
personal
ago.
ones for at home when I had to tear down my stuff.
Mhm.
And I had my own personal ones at work for when I had to tear down stuff. And then you had two lots for yourself.
Yeah.
And well, mine are still alive and kicking and looking nice, and his are up here.
There we go. That's it. Right, let's quickly go to the chat. So we've got quite a bit of chat coming in. So let's have a look. So yeah, we've already seen a bit about Dan asking about the Guinness and the Restream. There we go. We've got chat. Is it popping up? Here we go. Do you want to read that one first, Jen?
I suggest everyone tries Ambersil Amberlands, the best cleaner for making laptops look like new. And that's Alex at AJ Computing.
There you go.
Can you be a little more specific? Is it a maybe a foam cleaner, or is it a spray, or what exactly is that?
It sounds pretty good though. So Amber Clean.
Okay.
Amber Cleans, not
Okay.
Amber Slits. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
There we go. So, but
Foam
yeah, so it's
cleaner.
an option. So it's a foam cleaner by the looks of it. So yeah, it sounds pretty good. And so we've used a few foam cleaners over the years. I can't remember which we
AF.
stocked off.
AF.
AF, weren't it? Yeah, I think
Oh,
probably
that was
everyone
good.
knows where we got that from. Let's have a look. We've also got Facebook users saying,
I'm tempted to get some, but haven't yet. RC, great computer services.
no, I'm guessing that's the Amber Clean he's replying to. We've got Charlie here from CMS.
Hi,
and
Charlie.
that's
Nice to have
Charlie,
you.
which is a female, like Dan always likes to tell us. And apparently she's scary as well. So apparently she chucks things at his head and stuff. But there we go.
Oh, Charlie, you've got to leave my Dan alone now. We'll have words.
Oh, don't worry about Dan. He's fine. Just give him a Guinness. He'll be all right. Let's have a look. So we've got someone saying, I'll probably do the overwhelming majority of repairs with the smell.
I'm guessing small screwdrivers is what it was going for.
Possibly, yeah. I was trying to think what SMAL stand for. I thought that's a weird one. I was just making sure it wasn't anything a bit too dodgy, but there we go. So we've got John saying he uses a 260 watt USB charger with built-in amp meter to power most laptops and use a display on the charger to check the amp draw, and for the Type C laptops, check it's correctly switching to 20 volts. Okay, that's a good one. So that's something handy for you to carry around, especially with USB-C stuff around as well now. That's definitely a good one. Let's have a look.
Were we going to go around again?
We're just carrying on with
Okay.
clear the chat until we've obviously got through it, so as usual. So let's have a look. Carl is saying that thinks one of my guys has shared his imbecile we go through so much. If
I
anyone
don't know what to make of that.
yeah, if no one knew what it was, I'm going to say it could be a bit of a dodgy conversation, this. But let's have a look. It's saying it lifts up grime like nothing else, makes it look and feel new. Does it have a nice smell to it as well? Because I
I was
find
going
that.
to ask that actually, because I use a different cleaner. I hope you don't. Sorry, I use TARDIS tar remover. It's actually for car panels, and
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. But it absolutely stinks to high heaven as well. And it's like you spray it, the whole office just stinks.
right. Yeah, I'm going to say there are some cleaning stuff
Yeah.
we use, and it's like got a lemon smell. So, and it's real citric lemon. You smell it, and the whole place stinks of it. But it sounds like car stuff does have a bit more of a what's the best way of putting it? Grungy smell. It's probably the
Mm.
best way of putting it.
An acidy sort of smell. It's really good. But the other problem
Yeah,
I found with it is you can't spray it on, the cases with the see-through windows, the plastic windows. Because you
yeah.
Yeah.
spray it on them, it
Like,
fogs the window up. So,
We used to use a lot of on laptop, well, not on the screens obviously, but just on the casing on the outside. A lot of car detailing stuff. It used to be
Like
like Maguire's
McGuire's. Yeah.
car. We used to use that, and that used to be brilliant. And it's not as much these days, but laptops used to be more. Like powder coated sort of thing, and the paint used to scratch off very easily. And use T-cut, what you use for scratches on cars on it. You used to polish them out right away and so forth. But I've seen that on a few devices these days, and it doesn't necessarily work on the newer ones.
Yeah.
But there we go. So
Or if you had a scratch on the side of a black case, you could put the T cut on that and buff it right out most of the time.
I must admit, when we used to service special laptops in the store and we cleaned them afterwards, we'd always get more comments about the laptops being nice and clean than the
Yeah.
actual service we'd done and the upgrades. Oh, it's like looks like I've got a new laptop, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or the coffee stains have gone off of the top
Or
of it.
I had one lady, she went to pick hers up, and I had it in a sealed plastic bag with a sticker on top that said sanitized. And she looks at it, she says, I smell lemons.
Mhm.
And I said, lemons? She says, yeah. I said, open up your laptop thing there and tell me now, do you smell them? She says, oh my gosh. She says, oh, it made me want some lemon drizzle cake. I was like, oh, okay. She hasn't had it clean in so long. Bless
There we
her.
go. There we go. So the Amber Cleans is got a neutral smell to it, according to Facebook user. And again, guys, when you are commenting, put your name after, because trying to figure
Yeah.
out who is actually commenting and who's replying to is getting quite difficult.
So it looks like we got a vote for Evercleans. So.
There we go. And Facebook user, which is Alex at AJ Computing, says, agreed. Clients really appreciate giving a device back, and it's nice and clean.
And
It's a
it
nice
doesn't
little
cost
value.
the earth to do
Yeah,
it either.
I can't remember who gave us the advice, but we used to put them in a bag and put a seal on it.
Cormac?
Was it Cormac
It was
originally?
Cormac.
I think this
Yes.
was. I think
Yes.
this has been a while, but okay. I know he was the one with the stick. Mentioned the sticker putting on, but I think we were putting
Yes.
them on the bags before that. I can't remember now.
Well, I know he did the sanitized sticker.
That was obviously due to COVID, I
COVID
think.
and
So this
everything.
was we were doing that before COVID, but it was someone else. I can't remember who it was now, but it was many years ago
Was
now.
it John maybe about the bag?
Maybe I can't remember. So that would have been John Coulter. Yeah, it could be. So Facebook's user saying Mr. Muscle Green. Any reason why the green one? You just like the smell, or does it clean better? I don't know. And we've
the
got
green's the anti-streak.
there we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we've got Dan. I'm guessing that might be CMS Dan. I don't know. But back to the topic in hand. I've got the MI Precision Screwdriver Kit, and I found it fantastic. Pretty sure it came from a deal on a famous UK deal site a couple of years ago. But it's brilliant. So magnetic bits, metal case. Sounds pretty good. Used to have. I haven't used it for a while. Electric. A really small electric one. I can't remember the name of it now. It was, and it had a little stand you'd put it in, and
Oh, I know
magnetic
the
stand.
one.
What's it called?
It was the little electric.
Yeah, the electric one. We'll have a think of it. I'll figure it out.
That's going to bug me.
Let's go to William. William, what's your next list of hardware, so we don't get bogged down in talking about cleaning stuff?
So slightly on the back of what John Merritt does with laptops, we do a very similar thing with our desktop gaming systems. So whenever we're speccing a system, as well as using online config tools to actually see what the wattage draw for the system is likely to be in terms of speccing the power supply, we actually use some of these smart home energy monitoring plugs that go into the wall socket, and then you plug your extension or your gaming system into that, and you can monitor the whole system usage. By doing that, we can see A, how efficient the power supply is, and B, what the drop off is from that efficiency into the actual system. So we can always overspec the power supply so that we've got future upgrades in mind, upgrading graphics cards, CPUs, cooling, adding RGB fans or whatever in future. We always build in like a 25% buffer over what the system draw actually is to what power supply we spec in that system to ensure that we meet the overheads of that system and the upgradability in future. And we can monitor the actual real-time draw through one of those smart plugs just on an app on our phone.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Is that something what a lot of you guys in chat do? Is actually check like the wattages, what everyone's drawing and stuff? It's something what I used to do is when people wanted more economical machines, we used to say, "Oh yeah, your current machine's running certain wattage. Your new one will be running." Roughly, obviously, you don't know until you build it up sometimes, but this sort of wattage is it something what people are actually asking for? I'm guessing that the gamers aren't these days because obviously 1,000-watt GPU is probably not going to be the most economical thing, but yeah, definitely a good point there. And I remember the name of that electric screwdriver. It's the Wow Stick.
Yes.
Wow Stick. So if anyone's ever used it, so that's Wow as in WOW and then stick, obviously. So that was a pretty good electric screwdriver, really small and thin. But again, because it was that small and thin, I lost it somewhere. Hence, we go for the cheap ones now.
Another thing that we had in the shop, and I'm amazed that I've kept every single piece of it. 2 pieces are out of it right now because they are being used. But anyway, I've got this set of screwdrivers and multi things years ago. I don't remember if I got it at somewhere like distribution or where. And inside it, you've got this it comes with a multiple driver heads and all sorts of fun things that I never used, but they were there for me. It came with accessories to open your laptop with, and if you needed to work on, like, let's say, screen replacements and all. But the thing I found I used the most, and you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh your head off. Are these things. And these are magnetic for your screws when you take them out of whatever you're working on. And it came with 2 of these. And I'm telling you, they were precious to me.
Yeah.
We used to have absolutely precious.
We used to have a big magnetic mat as well. When you take laptops pieces, you can draw on it and then put the screws where you're taking them out and stuff, also, so you know where they're going back after.
And this is a very comprehensive kit. You had your straps for your wrist, so that way if you're out in public and someone says, "Do you use your wrist straps?" Well, you could pull them out and say, "Yes, we do."
That's a question for chat. How many of you do actually use anti-static wrist straps or some sort of form?
I'd like to know.
So how many of you do? I'm guessing. Oh, we got William saying yes. I'm guessing it's going to be less than 10%.
We've also got the ESD mats that iFixit supply, so we lay them out as well when we're working on motherboards and stuff like that, putting components on the boards.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to say if you're doing component level, definitely if you're going that deep. But I have a feeling that a lot of people don't use them.
But yeah, I'm guessing this whole kit is about 10 years old.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's got to be. So
and it's going strong because it's kept within my eyes seeing.
That's it. Let's go back to... Oh, actually, let's go to Ben next, and then we'll go back to the chat. So, Ben, what's your next tool you like to use?
Just going back to the screwdrivers for a sec, can I give you one more brand which is really good I've found? It's Teng Tools, Teng. I found them brilliant. I've had some for about 15, 20 years and they've never broken, still been brilliant. But my next tech hardware tool is Sabrent. Sabrent do the external clone docks, like we put multiple drives into them for cloning drives, external enclosures for 2.5 inch, 3.5 inch drives, that sort of thing. They also do brackets for 2.5 to 3.5 inch adapters for like iMacs. And I have to say, until I found the Sabrent stuff, I went through all different manners of 2.5 to 3.5 inch brackets on iMacs, and they never quite lined up as well, or the Apple proprietary screw didn't go quite right. And I have to say, Sabrents are brilliant for the iMacs. I've used dozens of them and never had any issues with them. The only issue I can say that I've found with the Sabrent stuff is the 2.5 inch enclosures. I've worn a few cables out, and that's just literally more just the fact that I've used them so much for so many laptops. The cables perhaps are a bit more brittle than the rest of it. But yeah, the brackets, let's say for iMac upgrades for SSDs for iMacs are brilliant. The only drive that didn't fit properly in those Sabrent enclosures was a brand beginning with O, which I shall not finish.
There we go. So Sabranth, yeah, they sort of came out of the blue a few years ago, didn't they? They were sort of
Yeah.
never heard of them, and then I suddenly started seeing Sabranth stuff pop up, and the specs were actually pretty good and stuff. It was like usually when you see a new brand come out, it's usually the bottom end stuff, and they came out. It was, I think, probably the third gen NVMe's when they first came out, or something like that, or at least that was when I first started noticing them. And now a lot of the stuff they've got, they do have some pretty decent stuff. To be honest with you, I must admit,
Yeah.
I've used a lot.
I've been using it like day in day out at my clone station for the last sort of 3-4 years, and it still works absolutely fine. I've got like a 2 and a 3 drive one, and absolutely brilliant in that. No issues whatsoever. Just powers up, does its job, switch it off, power up, does its job, switch it off every time,
We've just picked up an M2 cloning machine, so we can clone NVMe's on the fly now. So if a drive's failing, we can just clone the data straight over on the fly without even being in the workshop. We can do it on a remote location.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Is that Sabranth one as well you got, or was it a different
No,
brand?
it's a different brand.
But yeah, they do come in handy though. Those cloning bits and bobs. We've got a few upstairs. Again, we've got a lot of Castle ones sitting around for doing different bits. Yeah, but yeah, right. Let's go back to chat then. So we got let's have a look. Precision screwdrivers, iFixit sets. Let's have a look. For cleaning laptops. Okay, here we go. There's one. So used to use the Zelman drive for ISOs, and now can do the same thing with any USB stick using Ventoy, I think it's pronounced. Probably got it pronounced wrong, but yeah, I'm going to say the Zelman. I forget the name of it now. Zelman. But basically, it had a little screen on it, and you basically put your ISOs for your CDs and stuff like that on it. Yeah, on it, and then you just tell it on the screen which one you want to do. So you want to install Windows 7, Windows 8, whatever. You just choose the ISO, and it install that for you. And you put like an SSD. You could put a hard drive in it if you wanted.
But I never used that.
Yeah.
I always used the plain old USB pins. I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, well, this is just. Why don't you just pick up a USB pin that says Windows 7 on it?
Well, the thing is, it takes up less room. Especially if you're a portable and you're going out and about.
I mean, it was practical for you, but for me in the shop, it was more practical to just pick up the one that says Windows 7, pop it in, and away we go.
Use it a lot because you used to be able to have like as many ISOs as you wanted on there, and plus you could partition it. You could have a separate storage on there, so you could use it for backup as well, and all sorts. So yeah, definitely. Carl's saying he loses his WoW stick all the time. Exactly. I was going to bring mine and show it on the show, but again, I couldn't find it again. It's somewhere. Don't know where.
I think I know where it is.
I think iFixit actually do one as well, which looks very similar. And the Bosch Go has just been commented about by a Facebook user. I just looked that one up. Yeah, it does look like more of a robust looking WoW stick is probably the best way of putting it. So sort of I'm guessing a good thickness to it. So it should be all right if you don't like little dainty things and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was looking up at John. John, I challenge you. I've got enough static in my body that I could short out the whole of Tech for Techs if I wanted to. I used to take the cases out of the boxes. And as they slid up against the box with that plastic wrap, I would shock myself on the case. And Phil knew exactly what happened. After me swearing enough times and screaming the hallelujahs, he's like, "Why do you get shocked and everything? I never get shocked when I take the case out of the box." I'm like, "It's static."
Well, the big clue was when your hair actually started getting spikier than mine that you were getting a few shocks. But yeah,
Well, my hair
definitely.
would stand out, no kidding, but not this way.
Let's have a look. So we've got Facebook users saying that 1000 watt PSU probably more economical than 700 watt PSU, to be fair, depending on the brand. Yeah, depending on the rating, if it's gold, platinum, whatever. Obviously, a lot of the power supplies, again, and some more work more efficiently when they're working at only at 50% load than, say, at 90% load. So yeah, definitely a good point there. So just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's necessarily it isn't going to use any more power than a smaller, and it'll be more
speaking
efficient.
of power supplies,
Mm-hmm.
I have a Thermaltake Dr. Power 2 tester. That's one of the most used tools in the house is the power supply tester. If you work a call out, I don't see how you could go around without one. Yes, we've got this one as well.
Yeah,
I
got a
recognize
couple
that
of those.
one.
Mm-hmm.
We also have one that wasn't worth holding up. And yes, it still works. But yeah, we always had one in the store and one for call
Yeah.
outs. And they are time savers from the get go.
Those ones are good because some of them you can get, they only just basically test to see if it powers on. But
Yeah.
those ones, and like the one William was holding up, it tells you the actual voltages and everything there. So if you can actually see, even if there's power going through, if there's enough power going through. But yeah, let me just enlarge William. So if anyone wants to have a look, here we go. So there we go. And then obviously Jen will enlarge her as well. And
I've
move it
got
this way.
chat. You can hold it up.
There we go. Anyone wants to see it?
So that's Dr. Power by Thermaltake.
Yeah, and it comes up with obviously all the voltages and everything on there, and it tells you if they're wrong and so forth, and starts beeping and swearing at you if there's something wrong. But yeah, definitely. So that's definitely something handy to have on you. Don't get me wrong; it's nothing 100% in that
No.
means, and if you still think the power supply's gone, replace it anyway. But it's better than just saying, "Oh yeah, it turns on," or it doesn't turn on that way. So one thing, someone saying it's Carl's talking about the Wow Stick. It doesn't have enough power to strip the heads of the screws.
Yes, it does.
I never found that. If you use the right bit on it,
don't you know me? I can strip a screw.
well, yeah, you have to use the right bit on the screw. That's the catch.
I can strip some screws.
But yeah, if I remember, well, not remember right, but when you're actually doing it, especially on laptops, you have to just give it a slight twist just to get it moving to begin with, to just give it enough force to get it to start going. And once it starts going, you're fine. But yeah, I never had an issue, and it doesn't over tighten things either.
No, well, unless you're me.
Well, you're you. There's a reason why you're not in our repair area anymore.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
Only kidding. So, right, let's have a look. Carl's saying seems to blow parts just by looking at them.
I'm guessing that's the straps.
Yes. Yeah, got quite a few comments. So there we go. Someone's saying you don't need a wrist strap. Most electronics no longer have issues with static. Carl's saying another vote for the Sabrent adapter, just a bit expensive to purchase. Yeah, they're quite good, expensive stuff, but again, it's what you pay for what you get. And so, yeah. So I must admit they are good things. But do the cloning boxes handle BitLocker encrypted volumes okay? And that's from Peter. So there you go, Ben.
No, they don't. You've got to disable BitLocker before you do it. Otherwise, it basically shows the drive volume as being 1 petabyte of storage. So there's no way to clone it to anything. The other thing I've found that it causes a bit of an issue with is sometimes Windows will show BitLocker as like half on, where it will say your device is encrypted, but it's not fully BitLockered. And even in cases like that, it'll still show up as being BitLockered. So you have to put the drive back into the machine you're cloning it off of, disable a BitLocker through Windows, then take it back out. It's a bit of a faff, but it does it. But obviously hit against the problems when people don't have the recovery keys or don't ever have BitLocker on or never remember putting it on, sort of thing. So yeah, they're not infallible, but they're very, very good, I have to say.
Okay, that's pretty
All
good.
right.
John Merritt's saying that he's never used an anti-static strap in his life, and we do component level repair. Linus, that'll be Mr. Tech Tips, did a good video a while ago that showed that's near impossible to damage anything with static. Only thing I'll say with Linus's stuff, it's never 100% because it's more entertainment. But yeah, I do get that. There's a lot of people who say the same thing. So, but never always go by 100% what he says, even though he's
All
a good
right,
guy.
let's move along now
But
before we get lawsuits and
yes,
stuff.
yeah, well, it's not nothing true, nothing he hasn't already had issues with already. But yes. So someone's saying I got one of the PSU checkers, but I think someone's PSU has damaged mine. Well, looks like you got to get
Okay.
another one then. So. Oh, there you go. So yeah, it's probably pretty accurate then, Facebook user. But obviously, like anything you see online, always take it with a pinch of salt just in case. I always say that. And Peter saying thank you for the information. And I think we've caught up now. So right, okay. So go around the room again. So William, do you have any other tools that you're using?
So this is our little NVMe clone tool that we use to just clone NVMEs on the fly, which is super handy. You can pick them up most online retailers and things like that. Again, like Ben was saying, it won't do BitLocker encryption, but we found that having this in our toolkit, when we're out on site, we also have our PSU tester. We also have a standard 2.5-inch SATA to USB, so we can read SATA SSDs and hard drives. The little NVMe dual USB adapter we showed earlier in the show.
Yep.
They're just in our sort of to-go toolkit. We always keep a little Wi-Fi dongle adapter just in case the Wi-Fi card's packed up in the PC we're going to repair. USB stick just in case we need to back up any data on the fly or if we need to install some drivers from our laptop. And obviously software to diagnose, and you'll probably be familiar with the color of the USB as to what
These are
software
just
provider that is.
essentials that everyone should be carrying
And this
around.
should be your basic toolkit. We had a question earlier on the Tech for Tech site where somebody was saying, well, they need to go out to customers and what do they take and how do they carry all their stuff because they're on foot, and basic things like a PSU checker, a USB stick, a Wi-Fi dongle should be in your go-to kit for anyone out on site visiting clients. We go to a little bit of the extreme, so we actually have redundant CPUs here that we've taken from old builds where either the customers decided that components failed, they no longer want the system and that's just going to go to e-waste, and we actually keep the old CPUs. So if somebody comes up to us with an 8th, 9th, 10th gen, we can actually take the CPU to site and test their system in their premises rather than having to bring it back to the workshop every day. So sometimes if your customers come in to bring a dead PSU or a dead, motherboard to you, and you think, well, the rest of the system I could use to test other systems of that era, don't be afraid to offer them a cheeky 20, 30 quid to take it off their hands, and to keep the CPU just for you testing in the workshop. Because if, the CPU still works, you can use that for your diagnostic purposes.
Turn the mic on.
Yeah, micro.
I was going to say, a lot of people think that call out people pack a huge toolbox full of tools. Okay, and I mean bulky tools with that. Yes and no. You might carry an extra power supply with you, but little tools like this is the way to roll. And then you've got just maybe a bag this big, that you can carry things in and on the fly. And people think that we roll with the whole store with us. That's not the way we do it. Phil, long gone are the days that Phil used to pack up the car all the way to the boot and stuff and roll around with inks in his car and stuff like that. And no, it's very simple these days. Couple of screwdrivers, USB pin, diagnostics tool, and after that it comes back here, and we work on it from base.
Yeah, I'm going to say the basic things I've got for call outs now. I've got actually a flight bag, so a square box, got laptop in it, got screwdrivers in it, basic things like USB diagnostic tools and stuff like that. And then in the back of the truck, I've got a few useful boxes I carry around with like spare power supplies. I usually take a couple different sizes, spare, and as well as laptop ones on top of that. And on top of that, spare keyboard, mouse, speakers, as well. Only one of each, just
I
enough if
have
anyone
calmed
has any
him
issues.
down from over the years where he had like
Spare
two or three
drives.
of each.
Yeah, the amount of times I've gone out to gone to a customer's house, the computer's not working, and it ends up being the battery's gone in the mouse, or the mouse just doesn't work, or something daft like that. So I always carry a mouse, keyboard, and a pair of crappy speakers with me, just
You
in case.
used to carry around, back when I first met you, a roll-up keyboard.
Oh yeah, I used to have a
I
roll-up
thought that was the
plasticky.
most fascinating thing I'd ever seen, was this roll-up
Hmm.
keyboard.
Yeah,
I'd never seen anything like it.
yeah. I can't remember why you. There was something I can't remember what it was. Some machines. Oh, it was a PS2 one. So because a lot of
Mm.
machines back then you couldn't get into a lot of the Windows options and stuff like that when you were installing it with a USB keyboard due to the
Yeah,
machine or something. I can't remember what it
it
was
was the
now, but yeah,
drivers for the
the drivers or
USB.
something. It just so they had that roll up keyboard. Yeah, but it's stuff like that. It's stuff what you'd use every day and.
Yeah,
But these days, I don't carry a huge amount. I've got spare cables, generally one of
you
everything.
had that, and you had a PS2 mouse
Hmm.
and a splitter,
Hmm.
if you remember. Because some of the machines, well, we did get down to where there was only one PS2 uh, on
Yeah.
there.
And
Yeah,
one
just
thing
to
I do
answer.
carry with me, which I don't know why we've got Will still on full screen when we're talking, but there we go. But there we go. So one thing we do carry, let me show you, and a few people probably use
This is a
these,
must.
is the data vac. I don't know if anyone uses the data vac. So it's basically got a nice big long cable. It must be about 4 meters long, and it's basically a reverse vacuum cleaner. It saves having one of those spray things. You basically turn it on and it'll blow your hair off. If you're wearing a wig, I suggest you tape it down because these things are powerful. They're not cheap. I think last time I looked, they were about 100 quid or so. But you never have to buy the spray clean or anything like that
We've
ever
gotten
again.
100 quid out of it
Yeah.
well years ago.
Yeah,
So
exactly. The only thing you do have to remember is you clean out the little pad on the
fluff
bottom.
thing.
Otherwise, it gets covered in fluff and then it overheats and goes bang.
Because I know that too well,
Yeah,
because, well, I had this um, person come through, and I charged DBT for my group. They know what I'm talking about. I had to blow out the computer before I got started. And never knew that I was going to have to clean the bottom of this halfway into blowing it out. I usually do it at the end. But I blew up one of these trying to clean up and
yeah,
get ready to diagnose it. But yeah,
Yeah, the only precaution to take with those vacs is that you don't hold them over a moving fan for a long period of time, because obviously the fan will
yes,
generate electricity and you can blow bearings, you can blow the hub.
yeah.
yep.
Is either put your finger on the fan so it don't spin, or tape it down. Is usually a good advice. And I also just suggest if you're doing anything like compressed air or anything like that, you do it in a well ventilated space. You wear a mask or do it outside, preferably when it's not raining, to clean the computer out.
No.
But we're giving people advice. All I'm going to say is we're pointing out all the basics. So
Yeah, I mean, I loved that cleaner last week because I had the most filthy computer I've ever seen come in.
mhm.
It came in from a customer, and it was very much DBT. Jenny, will be pleased here.
Oh
It
my
came
God.
from a customer, and they were a dog breeder, and they had 12 Akitas that they were breeding.
Oh,
And this thing, it was like 13-year-old system. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, well, I've had some over the years. Common thing over a few years ago was customers like to keep their. They used to always have the desktop PCs downstairs in the living room or in a hallway or
conservatory even.
something like that. And they like to put the cat litter tray next to the computer.
And oh, the
You can imagine
smell.
the fans sucking it all. This is back before they really had filters on the machines or anything like that. And obviously,
He
the
brought one in
smell.
one day, and I was like, "Oh, but okay, we don't have a cat. Why does it smell like cat litter in here?" And he hadn't said a word to me. He sat it down in the corner, and I'm doing, "What's that smell?" Identify that smell, sniffing around. What is that? And I went over there, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and it's
It
it's
was
quite
terrible.
brittle stuff when you clean it out because it's
Yes.
very rough feeling.
And
So
another thing is anybody that's gotten a computer in for repair, no matter what farm it comes from, it's going to smell and look manky is the only word I can use for it.
yeah, I don't miss doing the milk shed machines. What I used to deal
Oh
with, that's for
God.
sure. Those did get a little bit manky.
They
But
did.
there we go. Right, let's have a quick look at chat. Have we got anything else? What coming? Here we go. So let's have a look. I'll let you read this one, Jen.
Okay, a tip for screws that seem a little stiff. Use a regular screwdriver, hold it at 90 degrees with a pair of pliers, press down on the screwdriver with one hand, and turn the pliers with the other hand at the same time. Just enough to get it to,
Crack.
I'm
And
guessing,
and saves their head from rounding. And that's from Alex.
okay.
Do you use a bit of TNT while you're at it with those pliers and so forth? But yeah,
I
well, yeah,
I used to take on misthreaded screws and put some glue tack
yeah.
in the misthreaded screw, and then put my screwdriver to it, and I could get most of the time a misthreaded screw out. Like I said, I'm the queen of misthreaded screws, so I know how to get around that.
That's. I'm not sure if we answered this one, William. Does it handle different size drives? I'm guessing it's on about
Yeah,
the
so I'm
NVMe.
assuming they're not on about capacity. So that's a 2280 length drive in there. So you can go to any length with this enclosure. You just be restricted to normal size NVMe's in terms of width.
Okay, sounds pretty
Nice.
good. There we go. Let's have a look. So next we got you can get a laptop and most tools and bits in a backpack.
Yep.
Peter says. So yeah, you can. In most things you can. As I said, I carry like a. It's more. It looks more like a really thick suitcase, a pilot case. I fit pretty much everything with a sec. I probably, if I cleaned it out, I could fit a
Yeah,
power supply in it as well. To be
you've got
honest.
things in there that just are obsolete now, but if you probably took it out, you'd need it tomorrow.
Yeah. Facebook user saying I had someone with a Dell disabled USB in the BIOS.
Oh
Well, that's
dear.
interesting. Had no PS2 sockets. That was fun. So I'm guessing, well, you have to reset the BIOS some way. If it was a laptop, that could have been a bit of a difficult one on some of them. But there we go. So
And
we've also,
depending on how old,
yeah.
that could be real fun.
Exactly. I have one of those Dr. Clean blowers. They're awesome. If not, as Phil said, loud. Yeah, they are
They
loud.
are loud.
But they are very, very, very strong. As obviously William says, and it's the same with any uh, cleaning stuff you're using inside the machine. If you're blowing it out using a Hoover or whatever, make sure the fans don't spin when you're doing it because you could cause quite a few
I'll
issues
tell
with
you
that.
another use for this thing right here is if someone comes in and he's had a really bad day. Now, I'm not using anyone for example here. I'm just ad libbing. If
Hmm.
someone's had a bad day and they come in me in the shop where you're trying to work in peace and quiet, what you do is you pick this up and you turn it on full throttle, and all of a sudden your day is peace and quiet again. It's a marriage saver.
Yeah. Now you wonder why I've got an oddly shaped head. There we go.
No, no, it saved me going for that
Yeah,
oddly shaped
exactly.
head.
Let's have a look. So I've got a metal plate in this side, and
Oh, cousin Eddie.
yeah, exactly. But there we go. So I'm guessing RC's Richard Creedy,
Yeah, could
and
be.
I'm saying he says we get some from industrial places as well. I'm not sure what he was saying when he gets from the. Oh, it's to do with his Dr. Clean blow. Yeah,
Oh.
okay. So definitely. Right, so is it that time already? It's gone 9 o'clock. So let's
Yeah.
quickly go around the room again. William, is there anything you haven't mentioned? What you want to mention?
Just for those that do the diagnostics, if you haven't already, go out and get yourself a really decent test bench. It's been a lifesaver for us. That one's a Diagnostic Easy XL. There are other brands out there. There are other sizes. We've actually mounted ours slightly differently to the manual, so we've actually inverted the posts so that you can slot the motherboard straight down on the top, and we actually use some little thumb screws to mount the motherboards down. So we can swap out a motherboard in 20-30 seconds, particularly handy when you're building your systems. We actually build our gaming PCs on the test bench first, install Windows drivers, get them fully activated, and then put them in the chassis, so that we can ensure that the system's 100% working before we get it to the point of assembling everything, find out one of the components was faulty. And then if we need to switch out between doing updates on a new build and diagnosing something, we can swap them out super quick. So it just saves having everything on a open table. Get yourself a proper test bench.
And even if you're looking for a cheap alternative, let's just say you are on a budget, have a look for old mining rig setups. I don't mean get all the motherboards and everything else, but it's basically metal trays and everything, and you can screw everything in and everything can come in and out quite quickly as well. But obviously going for a proper test bench, obviously the best option, but if you're in the budget, a lot of the mining stuff is going pretty cheap these days, so it just makes an ideal platform for you to either build a test machine into or obviously swapping bits around and so forth.
We've had Gadget Joe join us. Better late than never, Joe. Hello to you. Been editing. I know exactly how that goes, and my hat's off to you. That's a job in itself.
So yeah, definitely.
I don't miss editing at all.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say I don't know how Gadget Joe's doing his editing these days, but because we're doing stuff in 8K RAW and then downgrading it to 4K, so I can zoom into the videos. You'll probably notice in a few videos times that a few of the picture quality is going to improve quite a bit. But our editing files are for a video and anywhere between 200 and 400 gigabytes now. That's obviously before we edit it, and then when we edit it, it downgrades it, and obviously it only works at about 3.5 gig, I think it is. But for a 10-minute video, it's or less, it's a big file to handle.
When I was editing it and everything, I really hated it and all. I would go through there and Phil would always and I had to cut the ums out and the ers and things like that. And every time he'd say I would just sit there and cry because I knew I'd have to go back and splice the video, and you had to catch it without him having his mouth wide open. It's more tedious than you think. And I hated the editing part. I'm so glad that you took that
Good
over.
news is Premiere Pro does that all for you now. It picks up that and
his
dead
is
spots
done
and
in
stuff.
4K RAW.
4K RAW. My camera isn't quite as good as my old camera. I had to sell the old one. Yeah, because you started back recently, didn't you, Gadget? Again, a lot of it's down to content rather than the way things look. So, but yeah, I'm going to say the quality, what I have seen of yours lately, looks pretty good, your videos. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right, let's go over to Ben. Is there anything else you'd like to add in there, Ben?
One of the best bits of hardware you can take with you, take a demonstrator laptop on site, because when you go to see customers, whatnot, do repairs, if you've got an old computer, take a demonstrator laptop. I always sell Dell Latitudes because they're absolutely brilliant. Take one of them. A lot of time I'll come back to the office, I haven't sold it.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty good. I think that pretty much covers it. Have you got anything else you'd like to add, Jan?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. We've all at least gone around the room and said, what I would say, especially about carrying a diagnostic tool with you on site. As William said, whether it be PC Checker or whatever you might choose, you need to have that with you. That's just basic things there.
Yeah, definitely. Probably what we'll look at doing is make. We did have a tools list on the website on Facebook, but I think when my old account got destroyed, Thank you, Facebook. That disappeared, so I'll have to look at creating another one on Facebook, getting a list of all the things, like common things for everyone to look at. So, yeah. Right, guys, we're going to call it there. Thanks again, William. Thanks again for Ben for joining us. It's always appreciated that you're on the show. If anyone else does want to join us on a show, please let us know. We do plenty of shout outs. We have lots of different content. If you've got content specifically you want to talk about, whether it's SEO, something new, what's coming out, AI based, or I don't know what else.
Or if you're a vendor
Business advice.
And you have a new product that you're going to have launched soon, contact us. Let us know. It's absolutely free. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you're a distributor and you want to promote a new brand on your market, contact us. Get us penciled in on the calendar. Like I said, we will be glad to accommodate you.
That's it, totally. We do have a show next week. We're going to be talking about distributors and how good they are, as well as how bad they are.
We're going to grade their papers.
Yes. So we're going to...
William is ready for this one. So.
Yeah, I certainly am. Can I just say to the Tech for Techs community as well, if anyone's struggling in terms of specking hardware and they need advice, I'm open and willing to lend my time to somebody if they're struggling. Just drop me a message and I'll try and help you as best I can.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you again for that. And again, same goes for us, and most people in the Tech for Techs community are willing to all help you out. We're going to say we'll go, 1,600? I think 1,650 members now, I think it is. So there's plenty of us out there, all tech. So just ask a question. Feel free to tag me in if you're trying to remember who the guy was on the show or whatever. It's pretty straightforward. One thing to note, guys, if you do want to join us on next week's shows or any shows in the future, we now actually put the links, and that's if I actually write it out right, as in I don't misspell build IT. We actually put the links of who's on the show in the actual descriptions and stuff, so it backlinks to your website, which gives you SEO, which basically means you rank higher in Google or Bing, if anyone actually uses Bing or Yahoo or anything like that these days. I think everything's Google near enough now. But yes, so obviously if you want to be in the show, let us know.
And if you want to know what shows are planned and on the calendar, and you're in our TFT group, it's pinned at the top.
Yeah.
So you can go there and look and see what dates are available. And most of the time we're on top of that, getting it updated. So
we've got a show with Iyama coming up in a couple of weeks' time via CMS. There's a gaming monitor.
The quarterly show.
Yeah, there's a gaming monitor up for grabs on that show. We've got the quarterly show with distributors. We've got a mental health one towards the end of the year, as well as a retro one. I'm guessing Ben will be on that.
We're going to have some Techmax shows.
So. Yeah, and obviously Techmax, Tech Awards. There's quite a few shows coming up anyway, so we've got about 20 of them booked in. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there before I bore you all to death. If you haven't been to Techmax before, I would recommend you go this year. It's coming up in June. Tickets are going pretty quickly, especially the evening. But obviously, scan the QR code on the screen or go to tftmax.com. And I'm going to leave you there before I bore you all to death going on and on and on about it. So I'm going to leave you with this instead.